Okay, folks, we're back here to Valentine City, and let's start by charging my phone. That I got it down to about 14%, which is unusual. Okay, and this is where we left off this morning. Trying to figure out what's wrong with the two tanks. I'd like to have all three turrets. I was looking through a book. It's an older book that was recommended on trying to find out whether or not these Mark 9s were used in Tunisia or not. And I was looking through this book. That I found on the internet. Somebody had uploaded it on like Internet Archive or something like that, and it didn't have the information. I don't see a whole lot of pictures that these were used in Tunisia. There's examples of a couple of them, but what really catches my interest is this right here. Is this picture here of this Valentine, and it's obviously a Mark 9. I think it's a Mark 9. You know, with the desert pink and the dark olive. That might be cool to do, since I've got those two colors. Just to see what it looks like. And there's that scenario with the delaying actions at Battle of City Boo Boo. That fake imagination campaign there. It doesn't say what Valentine it is, but I feel like it should be one of these. These are state of the art. Well, for Valentines, they apparently some of them came out like in really late 42. And after Tunisia, Valentines were no longer used as front line vehicles. And I don't think they were very unreliable. I just think that, they had a Sherman, and a Sherman's a much better platform. Unless you're trying to hide from the enemy, because they have a high profile, but just working conditions. They put this 6-pounder in there, and there wasn't really any space for them to put the coaxial machine gun. So you've got a tank that has a 57mm gun, which is a good gun, but it has no hull machine gun and no coaxial machine gun, and the 57mm, this 6-pounder, does not have an HE round. So you can't support infantry with it. Now, what I encountered this morning is there's this one piece that apparently is common to the Mark III Valentine and also the Mark 9. And I only have one of them. So I want to make sure if that's the case, if there aren't any Mark IIIs that don't have this, and that way I don't feel bad about putting one on the 9 and just having one Mark 9 turret. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of a dive on that and see where that takes us. See what rabbit hole we go down. Let's lose this, and let's go ahead and hit the display capture if the mouse wants to respond. Thank you. Alright, so we're going to come in here and we're going to do a Valentine Mark III images. Now, one of the things that makes the nomenclature on the British vehicles like crazy, but you got to be really careful with, is, let's see if I can find a good example of it. Okay, here it is on this Tamiya kit. It's a British infantry tank Mark III, which is a Valentine Mark II/4. So you have to remember, you have to look like, oh, I'm not interested in it, you know. It's not this mark that I'm interested in, it's this mark I'm interested in. It's just really confusing the way they do their nomenclature. So we want to look at a Mark II, regardless of what infantry tank model it is. I want to look at a Mark II. And by the way, this looks like that. This looks like that Mark IX. Yeah, this right here. This one right here is a Mark IX. And this one is a Mark II. And it's funny because it's shown without the sand guards, the sand shields, and you'll be hard pressed to find a picture of a Mark II that's in the desert that doesn't have sand shields on. It's pretty rare. Okay. What we're interested in is a Valentine Mark III, not whatever infantry tank it is. Here's a Russian one. We're not going to make ours Russian. Sorry. Yeah, it doesn't have these smoke dischargers here on the side either. Yeah, British infantry tank Mark III here, Valentine 5. We want a Valentine, maybe I should call it Valentine 3. Because it does have a bigger turret. Good old Rubicon. Wish they had something like that for us in 20 millimeter. So let's see if we get some profile pictures here. Here's a Mark IV, Red Guards Operation Bagration. Yeah, that's a terrible weapon. That's a terrible tank in middle of 1944. Yeah, not really much purpose in building that sort of thing. All right, I'm gonna have to make myself a little bit of coffee. Um, I'll be right back in a moment. All right. So I think I do want to make one a Mark 9, at least because I have the option for that, of doing it. So one of these, I'm going to use this little box for the back of this Mark 9. It seems to be, I think, on the back of. Man, I'm all over the place. I got a hard stop coming in. It's like, do I even want to get anything started if I'm going to have to stop shortly? Mark 5, Mark 6, Mark 6, Mark 8. Come on. How about if I do this? How about if I go Valentine IX Tunisia. And there's only like one kit that somebody makes. So this had the added on little thing in the back. And here's one from Millicast. Is there another view from Millicast? No. It's this guy right here with the fuel container. All right, well, let's build that. Let's build that one. Okay. Let's build that. Let's finish it up, I should say. What's up, Marcus? Help! Save me! I'm falling asleep. So we're gonna make one of them a Crusader. I mean, a Crusader? No, we're gonna make one of them a Valentine 9 in Tunisia. And I don't give two shits about the running gear too much. You know, I mean, this is supposed to be for the early tank, and there aren't any that look like this. And if you use the later one, it doesn't look like the early ones either. So kind of weird. So we're gonna glue this thing. I think that's how it goes. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy, isn't it? I mean, I gotta do one of those. I have to. It's a rule. But I only have to make one of them. I'm perfectly satisfied just making one of them. Because it seems like, from what I can tell, that it was kind of rare for them to be there. There's a lot. I mean, hell, there's Valentine Mark IIs in Tunisia, which seems, you know, really inappropriate. But most of them seem to be 3s, which still has a 2-pounder in it. Okay, so there's that. And I feel like they should have both of the crew members popping their head out. Yeah, I've been reading when I was talking about it. I don't think you were on when I was talking about it, but I'm reading this book called almost at dawn we slept. No, An Army at Dawn, and there's all kinds of little vignettes that happen. Lots of little vignettes that happen, and just stuff I've never heard of before. And a lot of U.S. commanders that are just, they don't look the part. I mean, they were badasses, but a couple guys just, you look at pictures of them and it's like, man, this guy doesn't look like a badass. He might have been somebody really hard, but you read about him and then you see a picture of him, like, man, this guy's kind of not exactly what you think of. You got Patton, and like, sure, Patton kind of exemplifies, being a general in Eisenhower and stuff like that. But you got some guy like, Big Red One Division Commander Terry Allen. He doesn't look like, he doesn't look like a badass, but he was. And who's the other guy? The guy that was related to, is it Theodore Roosevelt Jr.? Look him up. He doesn't look like, he doesn't look like one of those guys that would be, leading the assault, but he was, So, hold on, let me take a brief pause and I'll be right back. Okay. Um, so yeah, there was a book I was trying to find out. Okay, were these guys used in Tunisia? What units used them? And it's so difficult to find stuff on British units compared to German units. It's so difficult. First of all, they don't have like there's not like this plethora of wearaboos. I guess the wearaboos just push the whole knowledge envelope. But there's not there is a book on the Valentine. I came across a book. It was called a Valentine in North Africa, 42 to 43, or something like that. And I was able to find it on Internet Archive. I guess I had to sign up for it or whatever. And it was almost like it's on loan or whatever. And it's a book from like the 70s, and I was kind of perusing through there, and I didn't see anything there that I was going to find in a hurry. So I'm just going to build one of these as this mark and move on. Now, what I want to look at is which one of these hatches is forward, and I would just, oh, no, they're side to side. Oh, man. They're side to side, so I need to know which one the big ones are open up. Now, if I had to guess, I'd say the big one's open towards the outside, because one hatch is bigger than the other. So let's look at Valentine Mark IX. Turret drawing. This is where I wish I had the an osprey to them or something. Okay, here's one. And it looks like the bigger pieces are to the outside. So that's what we're going to do. Now, When this is open, do these things sit completely flat? Well, the two in the middle won't sit completely flat. They're going to be up against each other. Okay, here's two guys going on a date, but I actually don't think this is a... No, it is. Okay, one actually goes inside of the other one. So, they got to make a determinate... They have to determine who's going to open theirs before the other one, and they're on the bottom. So, let's chop these things up. Again, I'm trying to trim up something that's almost impossible to grab. Like there's nowhere to grab it from. There's those two. I'm gonna try to keep them together. It's totally missing something over here. It needs some stoof. Let's see if we can get my tweezers can some. What happened? Thank you. See if I can send my tweezers can send something into orbit. I don't know that I'm going to be able to do that. They don't fit one inside the other. It covers over the other thing. No. Let's do this side as well. You know, I'm going to cut the crap and just go vertical on this side. That's just how it's going to be. They just have to come to a gentleman's agreement. So this is a 3-man tank. This is a 4-man tank, and this is back down to a 3-man tank. Now, let's take these two guys off. Yeah, that's what caught my attention. It caught my attention that I got a notification that he posted something new, and I don't think he knew yet. He must have been at work or whatever. So I told him, I said, "Hey, it looks like you're out of the mess that you're in." He's lucky, man. He used up a prayer on that one. He definitely used up a prayer. I would have bet big money they would have just not cared. You know, the reason his channel was blocked is because of AI. It takes a human review, but if humans like, you know, I'm sure those people are busy. All right, now, here's going to be the catch-22. Does he fit in there? He doesn't. This guy will, but the other guy won't. And I hate to say it, but I am not interested in U.S. paratroopers. I think the subject matter has just been overdone. All right, now he's not going to fit in there either. But we have ways of making him fit. I think we have ways of making him fit. What a cramped existence inside this thing. No, still gonna have to. I will make him fit. It'd be like me trying to get one of these things. I don't think I'd enjoy that. There we go. Although he is a bit tall. So I'm actually going to chop him off a little bit. No, and then because I messed with that, like the look of World War II paratrooper uniform. I wish their boots weren't brown. I feel like they clashes. But I don't get the design of their uniforms. They didn't check with me. Okay, so that, you slacker. So one's there. Heck, we can use 2 of these guys here, probably, for that matter. It'd just be kind of cool to, you know. Are they size compatible? Yeah, they're okay. And we can have this guy like doing one of these, and then his helper. Something like that. Now, and then this guy can be there in this turret. Or here. All right. And then here's the fuel canister for a Mark III. All right, what do we have on here that's extra stoof? Extra stoof. All right. Well, there's this huge gaping wide space over here on this side of the hull. It doesn't tell you to put anything there, but there's obviously some extra pieces. So let's see how these things are marked, even though it's probably incorrect. We've got the fuel canister. Okay, we got extra jerry cans there. We've got extra pieces of track, and then we got these 2 type of toolboxes and something over here as well. So I'm going to look. This is actually one of these instructions that actually has a guide on here. So I'm going to go over here and I'm looking at 11, 12, and 13. And 11 says stowage box A, stowage box B, and stowage box C. That's these 3, plus the fuel tank. And there's this piece here that I don't know what the heck it's for. It's 8. Exhaust cover. Okay. Assemble Mark III turret. Knife away rivets to assemble spare. Assemble exhaust cover, fuel tank, and spare track to the top hull. Okay, so apparently this exhaust cover goes on top of this, which we don't need more stuff over here. We need things on this side. However, these guys have already told me, I've already found out that they're not to be trusted. So let's consult reality. All right, and according to this, there's only one. Well, let's take a look at a couple things. We know this one's a Mark 9. So let's visit this guy. This guy would be at a 135th scale, something or another. Mark 9, 50th RTR, 23rd Armor Brigade. Okay? Give me a bird's eye view of this thing. There we go. Okay, so we have a fuel tank that's here. We have a toolbox here that does not have tools on. We have a toolbox that does have toolboxes on it. And we have this little ding-a-ling little thing here, which, we have that as well. Okay, so let's put all 3 of these things on this side and the fuel tank. And I'm going to use this as a guide. I'm going to use this as a guide of where things go. So let's take these pieces off the sprue. So we're looking for this toolbox with the actual tools on it. This other one. This. A rack of flimsies. Some spare track. And the fuel tank. And if I don't find a use for this body, which is the body that does not have the sand skirts, with this one, I'm definitely not going to be able to use it for the other ones. Because in North Africa, they almost always have the side skirts. Almost always. And the ones that sometimes don't are this mark, not the earlier ones. The earlier ones almost never. I don't know that I've ever seen a Mark II in North Africa without the sand skirts on it. But this is removable. We're going to leave this removable because we can use this suspension for this right here. So this is removable. We're not gonna attach it. I don't think. I could change my mind later. You know, the only thing is that it'll have, you know, it has this running gear instead of the earlier one. It's not that freaking noticeable. Not to me, anyways. Let's cut this off as well. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the brown boots, but they look a lot better than those. What do they call those things? The things that cover over your. You know, you got boots that are 3/4 height, and they just cover over them, like the U.S. uses them, and they seem really impractical. Gaiters might be what it is. Those look like they would just be a problem in combat. That's done. This is going to be 2 halves. As I suspected, today was going to be a nightmare at work. Not a nightmare, but it shouldn't have been an issue, and it was. Within 15 minutes of being there, it was already in a downward spiral. Like, so you watch Tick's video again. Good material maps, not as interesting as Battles, Crusader, or Gazala, but it truly highlights how worn and thin the Deutsches Afrika Korps was prior to Alamein. I guess he's going to do an Alamein as well. I thought he was just doing Crusader as a one-off, but he's done. I want to say I started watching the Battle Axe, but we got to do Crusader first. So. Lots of captured equipment except trucks. Even more supply issues for the Germans. Alright, now I'm going to consult. We know we got to put this thing, you got to put this together in 2 halves. Let's go ahead and knock that out. And let's use this. Okay, and I'm going to void the area around gripping. Yeah, I'm surprised that Micromark list showed many of the trucks in North Africa as Krupp Protz ones. I've never seen a picture of a Krupp Protz in the desert. I actually like the look of that truck, but it doesn't look like it would be able to carry a whole squad. Looks like somebody's gonna get left back. Okay. So let's look at where these things go. Oh, we did that on the computer. Okay. Here? Okay, right. And let's go to display capture. Come on. Okay. Here's the cover. Of that. And then the fuel can is going to go behind that. Let's take a look at, see if there's a top view of it. No, I don't want that. Go on. Here's the toolboxes on this side. I can't put this cover where it needs to go and then clear the fuel thing. I can't put this where it goes, which is obvious that's where it goes. And then this fuel thing doesn't fit completely before you get to this first bracket. Is there a top? I think I had a top. I had a top view. A line drawn here. See if I still have that. Okay. So the fuel tank, this is the cover here for the exhaust. There's like a metal shroud that runs from here all the way, and there's a couple spots where it attaches here. And it looks like the fuel tank actually overlaps this a little bit. But I can't make that. I can't make that work with what we have there. Oh no, that was a good one. Yeah, this has got to fit. This has got to fit here. So if that fits there, that's not going to fit. Now I can cut this down. I think that's probably the best way to do it. I either got to cut it down, or because this fits like this. The shroud goes past this. No, the shroud goes about where it's supposed to be. The problem is the fuel tank is supposed to have the supports further in than this one. These are like all the way out, almost all the way out. It should be in further. Wow. Let's go to the other side. Alright, the line that goes right across from this is where this thing goes. This thing sits like this. Okay? And right behind it is this other tool thing. And really that's how it fits. I mean, it goes right up against those things. Now, this might actually go to the edge. Oh, I don't know how the hell I'm gonna stay awake. I'm freaking tired. Let me see if there's a model of this. Yeah, I mean, I could just throw it on there however it is, but I kind of, this is how you open the pores in your brain. And I don't have to get this done by a certain time, so. Okay, here is this model this guy did. See if we have a top view. Okay, this is this toolbox in the back. And it looks like it's flush with this other toolbox that has the tools on it. It's flush on the outside. So I need to put that there. And there'll just be a gap behind it. I basically didn't leave anything done, right? Everything was all squared up. And then you get emails. People were slinging emails last week from other places, asking about this and asking about that, and like, hey, we're closed, So in the middle of that, I got one guy that calls, and he can never call when I'm not in the middle of something. And somebody said, there must be a lot of people that are just like, I'll just call them first thing in the morning. Well, that's bad. That's bad, because first thing in the morning is like the worst time for me, because, that's when people change their mind in an email. And I'm putting out those fires. We don't have time for new business when you're, I don't care about something that's going to happen in a week. That can wait a few hours. We got to solve the stuff that, is supposed to happen the next day and the guy changed his mind. So that kind of stuff, Can't just do things in the order that people call in. There's a priority to them. Critical path. But all that makes, my day job makes this a piece of cake. So we're going to put this flush. It's going to, or flush-ish, or even with this one. Okay, so we can go ahead and attach. Let's go ahead and spot weld this. I was having fun doing that. Okay. That's in place. Alright, now this one, I don't think I have much choice on where it goes. I don't. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in place too. Okay, so those two are there. Now in front of that is this little thing. That seems to straddle the support. And it has a notch for it. There's a notch for it to straddle it. The question is it does not tell you for sure which direction it is. So let's see if it fits in one and not in the other. Okay, that fits well. And it's close to even with the front of this fighting compartment. Let's see how it fits the other way. I don't think it's that way. I think it's the other way. Alright, with that said, we need to remove some of these details. Let's see if we've removed enough of the part in the front. No, but we also need to remove these rivets that are here. Alright, now we're sitting pretty. Okay, there's that. Now the spare track seems like it overlaps the support a little bit. I'm not going to put it on there. That looks like it is in an awkward place. Alright, let's move it over here. We got this shroud to go over. And the shroud ends. Let's go ahead and put the turret on here as a guide. It has to sit on these things. I think. What's going on here? I didn't select that. Support actually does not overlap. The problem is these supports are farther out than they are on the other thing. So if I wanted to move this, that would work, but this doesn't line up with this thing at all. So I got a couple different options. Not put that exhaust cover. Cut the end of it off. And all we'd have to do is take off a little bit of it. Or have this straddle this support thing. Which may actually be the way to do it because one of these legs is shorter than the other one. And this is a little higher than the other one. So if we just overlap it like this, that could work. Let's roll with that. put here. And there. And then we're going to go ahead and weld this right along that line right there. You know, I might just make one of these as the with the new suspension. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Let me not do that yet. I do want to show these. I want one sprue of each, unsoiled. Looks a hell of a lot better with this other stuff on there, filling in the gap and things. Looks pretty sweet. Although, if this is supposed to be a 6-pounder barrel, every picture that I see of this particular one does not have the muzzle brake on it. I mean, it looks better with the muzzle brake, but now let's look at the Mark II. I'm gonna have to grab the other sprue. There's just nowhere. See if we can make this thing look better, because it looks like a bit like shite. Now, let me look at some pictures. Valentine Mark II Operation Crusader. Images. Okay, it's got that small thing on here. It's got this. It's got no fuel tank, but that's not a picture. That's somebody's rendition of it. Ooh, this is interesting. Here's the fuel container. Looks like it's got all three of those things on this side. So all three of those items are over there. Alright, man, gotta start the dinner preparation. Your daughter just got out of the gym, is on her way home. Alright, man. See you soon, dude. I'm really tired. So I actually don't have enough of these things to make this removable. So if I make this removable, I'm using these things on the hull of the Mark 9. I don't have them to use them on the hull of another Mark II unless I leave it completely plain like this, which really doesn't look right. So with that said, I think the third one I'm going to go ahead and make it with the later suspension. And just permanently glue it on there, because I do want one as a Mark 9 because the camouflage scheme's cool, And the other twos, the other two can either be Mark 2s or Mark 3s. I can switch them out. I can switch the turrets out on them. I think that's going to be the way to go. And I'll make one of the Mark 2s with a fuel tank and the other one without. Right back in jiffy, folks. Yeah, this tank's a hell of a lot more interesting. So this is the early suspension that really should be for the 2s or the 3s. Technically. So I do this, I'm not going to have the whole sprue. I better not do that, because I'm going to need this sprue for the video that I got to make. With the unboxing. The full unboxing and the beware ye all who enter here. Alright, so this thing, I mean, I could take some of these tools off, but man, that's a lot of work just to make them look different. We'll leave those bloody things on there. See how we can make this Mark II look more interesting. It's a Mark II Churchill Infantry Tank Mark III. Valentine Infantry Tank Mark III. That's nomenclature is just like painful. Now, interesting because this one, this hull on the 9 did not have this little support. So this little support forces you to keep it in the correct place, which the other one did not have. But it still matches to the flush. It still matches flush there. So we're going to do the same thing we did, which seems to work all right. Let's put it into position, and then we're going to arc weld it. Done. And for good measure, I'm going to go ahead and put some here, and we'll trickle some on the back. All right, and that piece should be in place. All right, this other thing should fit neatly. Here, and they should be even with each other. But so the biggest problems with these plastic soldier models isn't the flash, okay? It's that a lot of this stuff isn't illustrated where it goes. And in order to try to figure that out, there aren't any pegs or mount or little lines that let you know where they are, which is handy if you don't have to scrape them off to use this kit as something you're going to modify. But if you're not going to do that, you're flying blind. And I'm going to run this one even with this one, so there's a little bit of a gap behind it. So we're going to put this in place, and we're going to weld it in place. Double check that one more time. Make sure it's not different on the Mark II. Now we need the other side of the vehicle. Yeah, it looks like it's even. Looks like it's even. I think that's represented in the. Oh, it shows you the other side. Well, forget that then. Okay. Oh, interesting. It looks like I don't have to. Maybe I don't have to cut all those little things off. If I can just remove the rivets. And I don't have to remove them all. Just these here. This one. That one. And this one. And now when I put this on here. Oh, well, that's a heck of a lot less of a pain in the butt. Okay, so you don't have to, I don't have to do all that. I went overkill on the first one. All right. Well, that's good. All right. Weld this in place. All right. Now moving on the other side, we've got this shroud. Five viewers. Happy Thursday, folks. Let's go ahead and do the same thing. Let's get this in position where it goes. And we're going to weld this down. We're going to weld it down here. Attach it to the back. Now, one of these two, we're going to have a fuel thing on. And I'm wondering if it's the same fuel thing as the honey. That's a thought. Because this one that's in here is for the honey. This is the honey fuel thing. That fits in there really nice. And I think there's some I saw that had the fuel thing back here. So, we got some options. Regardless, this particular one, we're not going to put the fuel tank there. Actually, we are. It's the other one we won't. This one we won't. Just to mix them up a little bit. We just need to find the sprue that has it. That's the complete sprue we don't want to touch. Right. Not that one. Not that. That's a honey. That's a honey. That's this one. Okay. That's an armored car. That's an armored car. That's an armored car. That's a honey. That's a honey. assembles a fuel tank. Oh, I did already assemble one. I threw it in here. Okay. So this has a fuel tank in there, or the fuel tank it says to put on there. That'd be pretty cool if the honey one fits there too. Then we got some variety. Okay, and one of these is taller than the other, so that's how it needs to sit. Just like so. Okay. And that's the fuel tank. And that's this one. So now when we have a Mark II or a Mark III, oh, I guess we haven't trimmed, that's rather odd. I thought this one could fit on there. Yeah, well, we didn't trim this. Maybe this one just got expanded. Okay, well, we're gonna have to cut this one down. Let's do the same thing with this end. Okay. Now let's see if this fits in there nicely. It does. Very nicely. And this is potentially what the body of that one looks like. Okay, so what we've got now is we got a third hole that we're going to go ahead and make it the late one. That'll go on this one. This one's going to be camouflaged. These two won't be, because it's really, what I really want these to be is Mark IIs, which I can build the other Mark II turret. I want them to be Mark IIs, and I want them to be an option to be a pair of Mark IIIs also. All I do is switch the turret out for them. Oh, I did build the other Mark II turret. Okay, perfect. So I probably won't do one of these in counter. I'm going to make them both like the Crusader, just light stone. Because when these started running around, this was also light stone. Yeah, if you could just make a few extra pieces, and then you would be able to build all kinds of different varieties of these things. You'd be able to do 6 out of a pack of 3, because they both come with 2 hulls, and they come with 9 turrets, and all the turret stuff is completely independent except this little box here. This little box. If you use this box on a Mark IX, this is one you can't put it on this Mark III. But the Mark III doesn't always have the little box at the back. And see here, it looks a little different as it is, and it doesn't have that piece on it. So you could do all the different turrets. Okay, folks. Well, thanks for stopping by. We're going to cut this one off because this is about as far as I can build it before I go and do the video for it. So I want to show all the stuff that people need to be aware of when they buy one of these models, and I'd buy them again. It's but there's some issues with them for sure. So